Good evening. Oh, I don't want to hear myself. Give me 1 second. I'm just running a little late. I'm just double checking something. Okay. I'm just refreshing something. Let me get my light going. How is everybody this evening? Hey, Grammy. Gotta find the right things that I'm doing tonight. Hey, Cinderella. Excuse me. I'm out of it today. I guess having the schedule being weird this week and not streaming on Thursdays, but I got it. I'll get it together. How was everyone's evening? It's always a good lesson, Norfairy. Has it ever been a bad lesson? Don't answer that. Okay. Oh, you got. Oh, it's one of the. You know what? Thank you for reminding me that. I just poured myself a Diet Coke. I think I might add some rum. No, no, no. I am doing. Um. Wait. Yeah, it's not showing Thursdays right now because the current week we're on. That the current week we're on. I I wasn't able to stream yesterday because I was not in town. So, um, I had to swap today, yesterday, and today. Going forward, it's next week will be our regular schedule. So you're not going to see it on there right now because we're on this week. I had to take yesterday off, and normally I don't stream on Fridays. Going forward, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is the scheduled streams. There might be an extra one here and there or whatever, but that's the schedule. And yes, it's Bumbo. Yes, you saw the cork. I don't know. They probably flagged me to have any brands or whatever. Who knows? Whatever. We're starting with Granny Rose. Rose as in row, ROW, not rose as in the flower. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't there some country song, something about dust on the bottle? I had a little dust on the bottle. You were off last night and fell into a Twitch rabbit hole. Yeah, yeah. I do that sometimes. I do go on Twitch and look in the makers and create a creator. What? Oh, bottle must be almost empty because I'm pouring it and it's like getting steeper and steeper and steeper. I'm like, nothing's coming out. It's just a heavy bottle. I have another bottle. Thank you to my alcohol fairy. We haven't got there yet, Claymaker. Relax. Okay. If you want to get ahead while I prep or whatever, because I know you all probably you crochet. That's a good idea. You all crochet slower. It's going to be a multiple of 3 plus 1. So let's say, for instance, you do 12, you add an extra 1. So any multiple of 3. You all figure out what you want. I don't know how much I'm going to do. Multiple of 3 plus 1. This stream's going to get turned. Nice. I'm glad to see that you're hip and up with the lingo of the kids these days. Well, that bottle's officially empty, but I'm keeping it because I think it's a cool looking bottle. Anybody who wants to know what I'm drinking, and some of y'all already know, I'm drinking Bumbu Rum, the XO variety. It's a black bottle, and Diet Coke. And I'm not going to get drunk, so I don't know. They're not gonna punish me because I have a drink. What did you just say? I don't know how to pronounce that. Fro, no cap, straight up bussin'. Anyway, North Fairy, don't try too hard. Okay, so this is a real easy. This stitch is super easy to do. I hate the word too, but that's what all the kids are doing these days. So let me switch over my screen to, that's not what. So this is Granny Rose. So it's going to look like the granny stitch, which is the traditional cluster and a space, cluster and a space, and so on. But instead of a square, you're working back and forth rows. The one thing, and I know you guys are chaining. I just want to show you to keep in mind, and it's a 2-row repeat. I need to zoom in a little bit more. So on our first row, it's here, but it's also the 3rd row. On our odd numbered rows, if you just look, there is, that's kind of blurry looking. I think it's the lighting and anyway. So on the odd number rows, 1, 3, 5, etc., you'll have a turning chain. So you'll have, and that counts as a double crochet. So on the odd numbers, you're going to have 1 turning chain here, 1 double crochet on either end. So you're going to start and stop the row with a double crochet. And again, turning chains equal a stitch. So it's like a substitute. It's the same structure. It's not the same structure. It's the same distance. It's the same placeholder of a stitch. So we consider it a stitch. So on the odd numbers, you're going to have 1 double crochet on each end. The even rows, you're going to have 2. You'll have your turning chain and then an actual double crochet that you make. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. It alternates back and forth. So odd rows will have a turning chain by itself. Even rows will have the turning chain and a double crochet, which counts as 2 double crochets. On these rows that have 2, that have this one here and the turning chain, think of it as half of a cluster. Because when we make these, just like a granny square, clusters are going to alternate from each other. So you're going to have if you go straight up ahead, perpendicular, you'll have a cluster, a space, a cluster, a space, a cluster, a space. Same thing horizontal, cluster, space, cluster, space. It's all checkerboard looking. So your clusters are going to go diagonal from each other, if you visualize it that way. Hope I'm making sense. So I just wanted to point that out before we get into the actual stitch. And I can go over that again if you're busy counting and chaining. Because we can't have two. Okay, she's chomping at the bit tonight. You can't have two double crochets on each row because then it won't be square. It'll. Okay, so Cinderella is Cinderella ready? And anybody else who's crocheting along, and anybody who's new, let me introduce myself. I'm the Crafty Cub. This is Granny Week. If you haven't already saw from our little title up above, we're doing Granny Rows, which is a variation on the Granny Square stitch. And feel free to join in if you know anything about crochet. If not, okay, take your time. I need to chain also. So how many are we chaining? You all tell me. It's got to be a multiple of 3 plus 1. So what is our multiple of 3? Clay Miko. So you did 21 plus 1. Okay, so you did 22. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Yes, 21 plus 1 is 22. Very good. All right. We're just going to wait for everybody to catch up, whoever's crocheting along. I think you're all are going to like tomorrow's stream. I've got my one sample done and I'm starting the other sample. I think tomorrow's are going to be a little more interesting because there's color changes. Before we end tonight, I will give you a heads up of what you would need for tomorrow. You're going to need multiple colors. Tomorrow is Granny Chevrons and Kaleidoscope Granny. But when we get to the end of the stream tonight, I'll let you know. You could do it with. I'm going to give a suggestion of how many colors to use, but you don't have to. You at least have more than one color. But yeah, I worked on the samples today. Actually, right before stream, I was working on the one sample, and I'm liking it a lot. Okay, so we've got our chain, multiple of 3 plus 1. In the 5th chain from the hook, so the loop on the hook does not count, so you're going to count 5 chains back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th chain, in that 5th chain, and you don't have to worry about going through the back hump, doesn't matter. In the 5th chain, do 3 double crochets all in that same chain. In the 5th chain from the hook, do 3 double crochets. And your chain is going to get larger when you put more in there. After you do that, and I'm not going to go ahead, I'm just going to talk. So you did 3 in that 5th chain from the hook. So that's our first cluster. But those chains we skipped, That's going to be our edge here. And again, back to our row. And again, just to show you, I'm just going to reiterate. We've got our cluster. That turning chain, those 5 chains we skipped is a turning chain, technically. And that is going to count as our edge double crochet that stands alone on an odd number row. Because again, odd number rows are going to have a double crochet by itself, which is going to be a turning chain or an actual double crochet. Even are going to have 2. So I just wanted to show you on here, after you make that first cluster, those 5 chains you skipped are going to form a double crochet, which will be your corner of your work. So this row is real easy to do. Let me know when you're ready after you have your 3 double crochets into the 5th chain from the hook. So that's your cluster, just like a regular granny square has a cluster of 3. After you get that, and take your time, you're going to skip the next 2 chains, and then the 3rd one do 3 double crochet. And you're going to continue that to the end, and when you get to the end, you will have 2 chains left. Oh my god, it's one of those nights. Okay. So, you skip 2, and in the 3rd that you come to, do 3. And then you keep doing that. You don't chain. You can, but you really don't. You don't have to chain in between clusters. You don't have to chain. If you want to, you can. You really don't have to for this one. This one I actually chained. And this one I'm working on, the white that I'm working on, I'm not going to chain. There's going to be a minor difference. It's really not going to make a difference. So, you're going to skip the next 2 chains on your foundation, and in the 3rd chain, do 3 doubles. And you continue that. You skip 2. In the 3rd one, you do 3 doubles. Continue that to the end until you have 2 chains on your foundation left. If you want to do a little extra stitches, you could do 1 chain in between clusters. You don't got to. It just works differently when you're doing it in the square, where that kind of is important. Because if not, it's going to be shaped weird. So skip 2, in the 3rd one, do 3. Skip 2. In our 3rd, we're going to do 3. And it's always 3 doubles when you do 3 in most grannies, most traditional grannies. And again, skip 2. In the 3rd one, you should have 3 doubles. When you get to the very end, you'll have 2 chains left. It's a little blurry. Now it's a little dark. There, that's somewhat okay. So let me know when you get down there, when you've got all your clusters done and you get 2 chains hanging at the very end of your foundation. And I'm going to take a sippy sip. Ooh, I'm tasting that rum. Okay, you both have 2 chains left. Okay. And anybody else, again, if you're following along, feel free to chat. Even if you're not following along, if you're here just chilling, feel free to chat. You're going to skip 1 chain, and in your last chain, you're going to do a double crochet. So at the very end, you skip 1 chain. In the last chain, you do 1 double. So like I said, the beginning and ending of the odd number rows, you'll have 1 double at each end. So that's the 1 double we just made. And when we started it, those chains we skipped in their foundation chain counts as a double. So you easily know what row you're on. If you're in an odd or an even numbered row, is if you have 1 on each end, that's an odd row. The even ones are going to have 2. Okay, once you get that in there, now you're going to chain 2, or if you're the people who chain 3 to make double crochets, whatever you chain, it's a minor thing. There's different people do it differently. So you've chained to turn. That counts as a double crochet. And then in the chain space that you made right here, you're going to do 1 double into the chain space. Just like when you do granny squares, you go into the chain spaces and you don't go into the stitches. So I chain 2. If you are the ones that chain 3, then chain 3. That's your turning chain. You turn your work, and in that chain space, you do 1 double crochet. So the turning chains counts as a double, and the double you made counts as a double. So there are 2 doubles starting that row. So are we all at this point? Okay. So now, in all of the next chain spaces, which are the large holes that makes a granny square, in all of those, you're going to do 3 doubles, except the very last one. In the very last one, you're going to do 2. So in each of the next large spaces, you'll do 3 doubles in each, and when you get to the very last one, you'll do 2. You don't have to. If you were chaining the previous row, if you were chaining in between clusters, then continue that. You don't have to chain in between clusters. So whatever you were doing on the previous row between your groupings, if you want to, you can. You don't have to. I'm not doing any of the chains in between. The green example, I chain 1 in between clusters. This one I'm not. I'm just keep on going. It's just whatever you decide to do, keep it consistent, because it could affect the work, but I don't think it's going to affect it that much. It's always good to be consistent. Again, I've chained three. I've done 3 doubles in each of the chain spaces, and I'm at the very last one. When you get to the very last one, you're going to do 2 doubles into that chain space. Okay. See how, well, it's not really showing up that well because it's not that many rows, but you could probably see you're starting to have that granny pattern where the clusters are going to alternate. Okay. Before we get to the next row, when you chain to do double crochets for the next row, I chain 2 if I'm going to do double crochets. If you chain 2 for this next row, chain 3. If you chain 3, normally when you're doing a double crochet for a turning chain, chain 4. You're going to need that extra chain. So I normally chain 2 if I'm going to do doubles. So I'm going to chain 3 and then turn. If you normally chain 3 to do a double, chain an extra one. Yeah, it's gonna work better if you do it that way. So now this is an odd row, so that was our chain. That counts as a double crochet. And then in each of the next, actually all of the large chain spaces, you'll do 3 double crochets in each of them until you get to the end. And when you get to the end, I'll show you how to do the end piece. When you get there, all you're going to do, and again, if you're not there yet, that's fine. You're going to do a double crochet into the top of the edge turning chain that you did from the previous row. So you're going to find the top of that chain, or anywhere close to it, and do a double crochet in there. Just one. Because again, that's an odd number row, so the edges are going to have one double crochet on either end. And that's the pattern. Starting out was the difficult part, and even though that wasn't that difficult, once you establish that, it's super easy. There's no corners you have to worry about, because it just rows back and forth. So we're going to do that for a little bit longer, just to get practice. When you get there, I don't want to rush anybody. You could go into the space if you wanted to, or into the top of the chain. Depending on how tight you do it, if it's easier to go into that edge space, which the edge space is right here, that's fine too. Nobody's going to be inspecting your work that close. And it's just one stitch where it connects. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. And again, it's right in that same area. It's not going to affect the look of it. So now, we're going to chain 2. If you're a chain 2 or for double, like I am, then chain 2. If you're a chain 3 then chain 3. Chain 2 and flip. Now we're working on an even one because the previous row only has one double crochet on the end. That's okay. If you want, I can send you the instructions I have, and then you can kind of decipher it your way. Because I have all this written down. Any of the stitches I have it all written down. So you've chained and then turned. We're doing all doubles. So again, if you're in the school of thought of chaining 2 for doubles, then chain 2. If you're chain 3, then chain 3. So I chain 2, and now we're doing, this is an even row, because if we look at the row below, we only have one double here on the edge. So odd numbers are going to have 1. Think of it, 1 is an odd number, so they're only going to have 1. 2 is an even number, so even rows will have 2. So into that chain space from the previous row, right below it, you're going to do 1 double, and those 2 doubles, because this turning chain counts as a double, and the double you're going to put in here, which I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to double and go into that turning space, that chain space. Whoops, and I just threw my work across the table. These 2 double crochets count as half of a cluster, even though half of 3 is not really 2, but we do half doubles, but they're in height, not in width anyway. So you're going to do that, and then the rest of the way, all the way down, you're going to do 3 in each, except the very last one you do 2, because everything's offset. Again, if you chain 1 between clusters, keep doing that. You don't have to. It's not going to affect the finished look too much, because it's only a chain. A chain stitch is not that big of a stitch. And if anybody, um, how am I going to word this? Anybody who knows me personally, if you want a copy of any of the stitches that we have done in the past, I can send it to you. Those of you in here who don't know me personally, who do not know me chatting off of Twitch, I'm thinking about setting up a Discord server. When that comes, then you can message me there if you would ever want any of these patterns. I haven't even started a Discord server. I'm just brainstorming and thinking of it, mainly to share pictures and ideas and anything we're working on. It doesn't have to be crochet. It could be other types of projects. So you're going to do three doubles, which is a cluster, into each of the chain spaces all the way across the row until the very end, because this is an even numbered row. I was on Discord last night through one of the Twitches. Oh, okay. So you have a Discord now. Okay, that's cool. So when you get to the very end, because it's an even number, you're going to do 2 into that chain space. When I mean you have a Discord, meaning you have a Discord username, I should say. It's real easy to use. Yeah, you have the app and you have a username. You don't have a server. A server is basically what you join and you can see the different channels and the different interacting with every. Yeah, it's like their own community on Discord. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. If and when I make one, it's going to be real basic, real simple. It's not going to be real complicated. So we're going to do a couple more rows. So we ended with 2 doubles into that last space. So now the next one, we're only going to chain up, and that will count as 1 double crochet, and then we start our clusters all the way across. Isn't this an easy stitch to do? So that's 1. So that one stays by itself. And then we're going to go into the next chain, the big chain space, and do our clusters. And just work your way across. Again, anybody who's having trouble with this, let me know. This is a stitch that you don't have to sit there and count and do this and do that and go back and what. It's pretty repetitive because it's granny week. Granny stitches tend to be. That's okay. Once you get the hang of it, it'll click. It looks more complicated and complex than it actually is. The only difference is the edges. The edges are the thing. Yeah, after stream, I'll send you the written instructions. Beginning and end of row matches with number. Okay, so the beginning of an odd number row are each gonna have 1 double crochet on each end. So if it's an odd number, so rows 1, 3, 5, either end of those rows are only gonna have 1 double crochet. Even numbered rows, 2, 4, 6, etc., they're going to have 2 double crochets at the edges. That's the main difference. Because you need that, because that will determine the offset. Yes, the beginning and the end will match. So that's the main thing to remember. And you can easily tell looking down at the row previous. You're going to extra chain on odd. And if you forget, you look here. So I'm at the edge, the end of the row. I'm going to look down at the previous row. I've got 2 double crochets here. This is 1 and 2. So we do opposite. So this we're going to end with 1. The previous row right here where the stitch is going to go into will tell you what you're going to do. You're always going to do opposite of what you did on the previous row. So I did 2 last row. There are 2 stitches there. We're only going to do 1 here. And again, you can go into the top of the chain or in the chain space, wherever you can get it. Anybody having any other troubles and questions with it besides not having a written pattern in front of you? So I just finished a row that had 1 that ended on 1. So now this next row, when I start it, it's going to start with two doubles. The turning chain is 1, and then an actual double will be the second one. So chain, turn, that counts as our first double, and in the space directly below, go right into that space and do our second. So again, this row has 1 on the edge, this row has 2. That has 1, that has 2. It's always going to alternate back and forth. And then the middle part's the easy part. It's just the clusters. How's Grammy doing over there? I know she's probably here lurking. Again, I come to the end of my row, and if you're not to this point, that's fine, I'm just going to repeat it. We get to the end of the row, we've done our last cluster. Here, we need to do some type of cluster here. Well, we look below, there's only 1 double crochet, so that means we're going to have to put 2 in here, because we're at the end. Since the previous row had 1, the row we're on will have 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she's been joining squares of her blanket. So, when she gets it all done, we will take a picture and I can post it in here. She's doing a join that I had never seen before, and she sent me a link to it. I haven't watched the link, haven't seen the link that she sent me. It's kind of like the where do I have when and if? Where do I have? It's similar to, not that one. It's similar to the flat slip stitch seam, but it's different. Like, it's almost backwards. It's almost like done backwards, where this here, that seam is on the back. Yeah, it looks different. You have no way of joining that's easy and seamless? Okay, yep, for Tony. Yeah, these, the other day when I was showing, I got them from Tony's channel also. But there's all different types of ways. If you want to send me that link, And I could always do a stream coming up in. Okay, yeah, I've heard of Join as you go. If you send me that link, hmm, sometime in March, I can fit it into the schedule somewhere. I don't want to do it too late. Yeah, send me the link and then I'll figure out when we will do it. So we're gonna go a couple more rows. Um, are you okay with this stitch so far, Clay Miko? I know Cinderella said that she needed a little help with a written pattern. It's a video she did for 25 crochet hacks. I have to find it. Okay, that's fine. So you're good. Do you want me to continue a little more with this, or did you? Are we ready to go on to the Tunisian stitch? And let me ask. I know Cinderella is the only one that has Tunisian hooks of my regulars. Um, did you want me to show the Tunisian version? Nope. More on if y'all want to. Wait. Oh, move on. Okay. So you want to move on to Tunisian? And I know if you're not stitching along, I can show it because even if you're not stitching along, I can still show how to do it because that's the only thing I have planned. But again, going forward, if it's Tunisian isn't something you want me, if it's not really something you're all super interested in, then I can always adjust my schedule in the future. You have a new yarn that's perfect for Tunisian. You're not crocheting. You're not crocheting along, so you don't have to. It's your stream. It's Friday, so you should stream longer. You're gonna bring the yarn on Sunday. Okay. Yeah. Let's have the meme of the stream. I need to make a little graphic transition for meme of the stream. I don't have. That's not being done tonight. I mean, you can do. We can do the stream, the meme. Yes, we could do the meme. I'm not making the graphic. You know how it says Granny Week, and I click a button, and it just magic of television, and it switches over. Okay, let's move this. I'll still do the Tunisian stitch tonight. It looks very similar to this. And put that away. That there. I need. I gotta switch over to this. Oh, this is dedicated to me. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Okay. It's on the screen, but I'm not looking. I'm looking here. Okay, I gotta find my little selector to move things over. Oh my god. Okay, what does this say? Wait. Time to weave in the ends. This pattern has how many graphs? Found a mistake 3 rows back. Oh yeah, I know that. I know I should have bought more yarn. I can make that sweater. Well, I've never said that in my life. No, I haven't been yarn shopping. I finished the pineapple stitch tablecloth. Never attempted the pineapple stitch before. And let's go yarn shopping. I like that. That's funny. Thank you for the meme of the stream. All right. Let's. Okay. So we're going to do the Tunisian granny. Again, if you just want to watch, that's the Tunisian granny. And compare it to what we just did. I gotta zoom out a bit. Okay. This is regular crochet. That's what I just worked on. That is Tunisian, not Tunisian. This is the granny rows. This is the Tunisian granny, which looks similar, but individual stitches look a little different. Okay. But again, going forward, if Tunisian is not something that you really would want to tutorials on, I can always adjust schedule because I don't have. You like the Tunisian look better? The Tunisian has a more open look. It's not as. Okay. This is really easy. If you know Tunisian. It is a little more, yeah, each stitch is a little more square. I gotta work on my tension on it. It looks like macro. Oh, like macrame. Yeah, it does look like macrame. I'm assuming that's what you were trying to say. So, for the Tunisian granny, you're gonna do. That's fine. That's fine at all. That's perfectly fine. So for the Tunisian granny, it's a stitch multiple of 3. So you're gonna chain multiples of 3. I'm gonna do 15. 2, 3. Oops, splitting my yarn. Let me start over. I've used this yarn so many times that it just likes to split. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Your foundation row is going to be simple Tunisian stitch. So the second chain from the hook, you're going to go into the chain, go in, bring up a loop. Do that for each one. So you're going to bring up a loop into each of those chains. Like most Tunisian stitches, you start with a foundation row of simple Tunisian stitch. Or Tunisian simple stitch, I should say. Okay. And again, just to double check, I'm going to count my stitches because I had 15, so I want to make certain I have 15 loops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I got 15 loops. And then the return pass is the same. You chain one, you yarn over and go through the first loop, which is basically chaining. And then yarn over through 2. And yarn over through 2 until you get to the end and you only have 1 loop on the hook. Okay. So we've gone down, that's our foundation row. So for our first row, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. We're going to do something different. We're actually going to chain. Normally in Tunisian you don't chain. So I chained up 2. Let me put a lighter color behind it. I shouldn't have picked this dark color, but you're going to chain 2. It's right here on the edge. And then the space in between the stitches. Normally with Tunisian, you're going to go under that front bar of the stitch, and it's kind of difficult to see. Do you find your tension is looser in Tunisian than regular crochet? Mine is super loose. It should be looser. It's good to be looser in Tunisian because most Tunisian stitches have a tendency to curl and pull tight. You want it loose, and if it's not loose enough, go up a hook or 2. But yes, I have noticed it's looser. And it makes usually a lot, not all, but a lot of Tunisian stitches are more drapey. Even if it's a denser stitch, it tends to be more drapey. Just the nature of the stitches, of how it works on. So normally you're going to go in between these bars, and I'm using the wrong color yarn because it's kind of dark. But you see those. You usually go within the bars. We're not doing that with this. We're going in the space. So that space where my finger's coming through, not in between the bars of each stitch. So in the first space, we're going to do something called an incomplete double crochet. So that means, think of Tunisian when you do your forward pass. You're starting the stitches, you're not finishing them. The return pass, you finish them with all Tunisian, because each row is the forward pass and then the return pass. The return pass actually finishes the stitch. So we're doing the same thing. We're going to do an incomplete double. So we're going to wrap our hook like it's going to be a double crochet. We're going to go into the space where my finger is, and go under, and you bring up a loop, and you got 3 loops on the hook. So you're going to yarn over, because remember it's double, yarn over and pull through 2 and stop. Because normally with a double crochet, you'd wrap, go over, yarn up, you got 3 on the hook, pull through 2, yarn over through 2, and then yarn over last 2. So we're only going to do that first pass. I'm going to repeat that. So you're going to wrap like you're going to do a double crochet, go in and behind. We're not going into a stitch, we're going into that big space. Yarn over, we got 3 on the hook. Yarn over and through 2. That's one incomplete double, because the return pass will finish it off. So we're going to now skip 2 of these spaces. So we did that there on the edge, that's the one. So here we've got a hole, that's 1 space, and then we've got 2 spaces. And in our third space, you're going to do 3 incomplete doubles, which is going to make our cluster. What we just made right here is a half a cluster. It's 2, they're going to be 2 doubles, basically. So you're going to skip 2 spaces, and in the third space, you're going to do 3 incomplete. So we're going to wrap, go in, yarn over through 2. So that's 1 done. Wrap, go in, yarn over, and then you're going to yarn over and go through 2. That's 2 done. Wrap, go under, yarn over, and then yarn over again and go through 2. So that's 3 done. So think of it this way. When we started, we had 1 on the hook. So that's 1 stitch. Then we did one incomplete double. So that's the second stitch. Then we just did 3. And that's our next 3. So we've done 5 stitches. We haven't finished them off because all the loops are still on the hook. if that is making sense. I know you're not crocheting along. Even if you are, let me know. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, but you're not finishing them off into the return pass. Now what we're going to do, we're going to do the same thing. You're going to skip 2 spaces, and in the 3rd space, do 3 incomplete doubles. Okay? Until you get to the end, you'll have 2 spaces. So you're going to skip those 2, where my fingers are showing through, and in the 3rd one, you're going to do 3 incomplete. So I've wrapped, go in, bring it up. There's 2 on the, now there's more than 2, but what we're working on are these 2 here. Going to yarn over and bring it through 2. So one incomplete double is made. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, and then yarn over again and go through 2. That's 2 incomplete doubles have been made. And do it one more time. And that's 3 incomplete doubles. So if you kind of just fan it out, this will, the 2 here on the end is our half cluster, quote unquote half cluster. This is a cluster because, again, even with regular granny squares, 3 form a cluster. So there's one cluster and there's another. And then there's a space in between to separate. Just like in granny squares, there's a space in between. So you're going to continue that. You're going to skip 2 spaces, and in the 3rd space, do 3 incomplete doubles. 1, 2, and whoops. You got to be a little careful sometimes if you don't have enough slack in all your work. And you're going to keep going until you've got 2 stitches left. So we're going to skip 2, and then the 3rd one, you're going to do the same thing. That's 1 incomplete double, 2 incomplete double, and I'm going to bring some slack off of my working yarn, 3 incomplete double. So we can already see we've got, that is our cluster, our half cluster, 1 full, another, and another. Now we're at the end, and this is the difficult part with Tunisian, is getting these ends. There's 1 space here. Let me see. It's right there. I don't know if you can see where my finger's coming through. In there. Wait a minute. Skip the first. Okay. So in there, you're going to do 1 incomplete double. And then into that turning edge chain. Into the turning edge chain, you're going to do another incomplete double. So we're going to wrap, go in, yarn over, and then yarn over through 2. It's kind of difficult to see at that edge. And then, I don't know how well this is showing up, we've got the 2 loops here. That is our first half cluster. 1 cluster, 2, 3, 4, and at the other end, you've got another half cluster. Just like when we're doing rows here, 1 row is going to have 2 doubles on each end, and then the opposite row is going to have 1 on each end. It's the same way. So return passes are exactly the same as normal. You're going to yarn over through 1, and then yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and so on until there's 1 loop left on your hook. And believe me, this will eventually start looking like granny squares. It's not going to look anything right away. It's going to take a couple rows for this to start having that look. And I've noticed that this stitch doesn't curl as much as other Tunisian. Probably because there's double stitches and it's giving a lot more room for the yarn to relax. Okay. So now it looks like a hot mess, but believe me, it will come together. So again, we're going to chain 2 on the edge. That's going to be 1 double crochet. And then we've got this space here. We're going to skip these 2 strands, these 2 stitches, the tops of these stitches. We've got this space, but we also have this little bar, this yarn over bar that we had when we were doing our stitches. If we don't do anything with that, that's going to look weird. So in this area, we're going to do 3 doubles, incomplete doubles because it's Tunisian. So we're going to wrap once and we're going to go under that bar. So there's a bar here and then there's the top of the stitch. You're going to go under that bar and then bring it up, and that pushes that bar up towards the top of the stitch. Yarn over through 2. You're going to do that 2 more times in that same space. And that forms, this loop represents the 1 double crochet on the end. Because again, alternate rows. One row is going to have 2 on the end, one's going to have 1. This row has 1. And then our cluster. We're going to do the same thing for our next space. You can see that these 3 stitches, that's the cluster from what we did. We're going to work in this area here, but we've got this horizontal bar to deal with. So we're going to wrap, because it's a double. You're going to go under here, go under that, below the bar, like between yourself and the bar. So it's going to push that horizontal bar up to these stitches. And you're going to do 3 incomplete doubles. Okay. So that was our 3rd one. And now we're ready to go to the next grouping. So again, we find the 3 that we did from the previous row. They're right there, and then we got this space, and you always get this horizontal piece, and do 3 incomplete doubles in that area. Is everyone okay? I haven't heard from anybody in a while. Just checking. I know you're all just probably watching along. And again, we've got, these are the 3 from the previous row we did. And now we're going to do 3 more, but in here, again, catching that strand and doing 3 incomplete double crochets. Okay. When we get to the end here, we still have 1 more cluster to make because we're at the end. We're going to do 3 more incomplete doubles. And now when we're at the very, very end, we're going to do 1 incomplete double into the top of this turning chain. Because you're at the edge. You always do that piece there on the edge. And the edge ones are always the part that's a little more on the difficult side. And you do an incomplete double. So to recap, we've got our 1 here on the edge. You're not really able to see it that well because of the lighting and the color yarn. I need to not use this gray yarn. There's one there. These three are our cluster. Those three are our cluster. There's a cluster. There's a cluster. There's a cluster. And there's one on the end. Just like with regular, one row is going to have two on each end. The next row is going to have one on each end. And it's going to alternate. Return pass is the same. And let me check something. Okay. Double check this here. Have I put everybody to sleep yet? So I'm just doing return passes the same as regular normal Tunisian. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Problem with the Tunisian hooks, you could find the standard ones, like the ones I'm using here, a set of those easily. And you can find them in metal. I like the aluminum. But it's the ones with the cords. Yeah. There's one. I'm going to come back to this. There's a set, and I know it's going to be expensive. I'm just going to look it up. Um, yeah, I don't really like the plastic ones because the larger size regular hooks, plastic I understand because you get to a large size, it's going to get too heavy to hold. I get that. But the smaller normal ones, like this in plastic, I know I don't like the way it glides against most yarn. Um, yeah, there's a set. Well, there's a brand. They have interchangeable Tunisian hooks. So they have got the cord, and you interchange. You can chain. You screw off the hook part, and it's got a cord. You can change them. So you don't. Each one doesn't have their own dedicated cord. You've got multiple cords. You can swap them out. And there's a set, and they've got sizes 3.5 millimeter all the way up to 12 millimeter. It also includes a 24 cord. What is 20? Maybe 24-inch cord, a 40 cord, two 32s, and then a bunch of end caps, and it's this whole kit. And the hooks are made out of smooth wood. It's $147. That's the problem with a lot of interchangeable or a lot of nice Tunisian hooks. They're expensive. Yeah. I mean, the other week she tried my metal ones, and she was getting the hang of basic Tunisian stitch because it's real simple to do. So she's tried the regular ones like this one here. She hasn't tried any of the corded ones. And I think the set that's here in the picture here is probably the same set that Cinderella has. Or pretty close to it. But, yeah, that's the problem, is finding decent ones. that aren't going to break the bank. Yep, it is the same. Yep. Okay. So let me just double check something. Okay, back to this. So that row had one, this had two, this had one. So our next row is going to have two on the edge. We're going to chain two. Yeah, definitely do that. And we're going to go, this edge here is going to have two stitches. So, because we're alternating. So we have one here. We need to put another one. And we've got a space here. And we've got that little yarn over bar from before. So we need to take care of that one. And do one incomplete double. So that's our half of our cluster. And then we can go on to the next. We just continue this pattern. It's just like the Tunisian rows I showed earlier. I mean, not Tunisian, the regular crochet, the granny rows here that I showed earlier. It's just done in Tunisian. And that's why I decided to do both of these tonight, because they're similar stitch. Not exact, but similar. Anybody who's joining me now, welcome. I'm the Crafty Cub. I am demonstrating how to do Tunisian granny stitch. And welcome to Granny Week. Again, I don't know if there's any new viewers. And I'm just working my way across. And we're at the edge here. So we got to do two, because we started with two, we end with two. So there's the one, and the second one always goes into the edge of what we had before. Whoops. The edge of the turning chain. And go and yarn over, because you got to make an incomplete double. And then we continue, and I'll do a couple more rows, and you'll end up seeing the pattern. The pattern's starting a little bit already. And then go a few more rows, and then I'll show you how to cast off. It's a little bit different than regular Tunisian cast off, where you cast off with a slip stitch. And it's really not that difficult to cast off with this. It's just a different stitch. Okay. So the previous row we did two. We started with two on the end. This one we're going to do one. So again, we're always going to chain two for our first double. This row only gets the one, so we're not going to do any other doubles there. But in this chain space, with this horizontal bar, that's where we're going to do our clusters. And they're always incomplete doubles, because the return passes will complete the stitches. Third one. Two. Two. Third one. And then we got one more here in the very edge. Actually, no, we don't. No, we don't have another in the very edge. What we have here is we have to do one stitch because we ended the last row we ended with 2. This one we're going to end with 1. Come on, gotta get a little bit of slack there. Go under both bars of this chain and then yarn over and through 2 because we're doing doubles. Let me just double check. There's one there, that's a cluster, that's a cluster, that, yep, we're all good. So I'm going to do this return pass. And this will be my last row of this, just as a sample. And there. Now, I'm going to show you the cast off. So you're going to go into every space in between every single strand, but keep an eye out for any of these spaces that have this horizontal bar in them. And we have one here when we first start off. Well, first, we're not going to chain. We're doing it's a single stitch cast off. So we're going to go under that bar. So that bar is going to be pushed up against our stitch. Go and just do a single crochet. So you picked up a loop. Now you're going to yarn over through 2. And now the next 2 are going to be in between the stitches of our clusters. And they're just simple single crochets. Hey, Seagam! And then our next one is where our space was. So we got to pick up that bar because it's ugly. We don't want that in our work. And you just keep going across. You just got to be mindful of where those bars are. Go under the bar. I'm Tunisian crocheting. One day I'm going to get you to learn to crochet. Oh, okay. Be that way. Okay, and we're at the end, and we always finish with one in our edge turning chain. Let me get in between both bars of that stitch, if I can find it. In there. No, I'm not going into your video game driving school. So there, we've got, and some of my stitches are a little loose. That's something I might have to work on. But that is the Tunisian granny. It's slightly different than the regular granny rows. Any questions besides Seagam telling me that I'm doing it wrong? I don't know about him, but I'm pretty much empty. I need to get this, and I need to get my yarn bowl. You don't have any questions? Yeah, yep. Practice is always good. It's not last call yet. I'm not going to get any extras tonight. Okay, we are gonna switch over. We're not done tonight. I'm gonna do, let's see, where's my overlay that's just basic. And I'm gonna be using some of the yarn that I got the other week. This is Red Heart's Chic Sheep. This is 100% wool. Wait, is that? No, that's not. That's not that. That's not the Chic Sheep. I was wrong. This is Red Heart's Unforgettable. And I think this is acrylic. 100% acrylic. In the color Red Sea. And I'm going to play around with it. I'm going to make a granny square. Since it is granny week, I'm just going to do a basic, simple granny square. And get my hook. What is the same? It's a size 4. So they're suggesting a J hook. I'm using an I. I'm going to use an I. I'm going to be a rebel. The very soft and silky yarn. I like it a lot. 2, 4. Yeah, that would be a challenge. I've never made wearables before. It's besides hats and scarves. I've made accessories, but I've never made like a sweater or anything. That might be a good challenge for me to work on. I don't know about teaching and demonstrating on stream because that I do not have any experience in that. It might be a crochet along where you just watch me crochet. Not really an instructable stream. Oh, I like this yarn. I like the way it works up. Yeah, kind of like temperature blanket Sundays. Just sit and make it and just chit chat and yeah. I'd have to look and refer to my notes and patterns and all because that's something you gotta um pay attention to increases and decreases and depending on the pattern. Yeah, I'm gonna have to research. I'm gonna have to go on Ravelry and find. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A cardigan. Um, I don't really have enough yarn of one color that I would like to make something out of, and I would like something that, like, I could like a cardigan for me to wear or something, or from the fall and winter. I'll have to look into that. I'd have to see how much, because I want to use up some of the stuff I already have, but I don't have large quantities of one specific color. Besides, like this, I got 12 of these. I don't want a cardigan in this color. There's a cool shrug that starts as a square, then. Oh, okay. Ribbing added. Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to look on Ravelry. I understood what you meant. This yarn has got pinks in it, but there's also blues and a little bit of purples in it. I think this just has a long repeat. So we'll see what this is. Again, this is just simple. Oh wow, I'm doing too many chains there. This is just a simple granny square, continuous. I'm not changing colors. I'm just keep going around in a circle. And I've never used this yarn before, but this is the stuff I got at Ollie's the other week. I got like 12 of them. Super soft. Pat, pulling, you have to find the right yarn for it because not all variegated yarn is really designed for it because of the how fast or how slow the repeat is. And that's not something I can really. Yeah, they do. That's not something I can really teach because everybody's starting chains are going to be different because everybody chains differently. So I've never done it, but I've know enough about it that you can't like say, okay, chain X amount with this yarn. Well, you have to figure out your color repeats if it's going to be if it's going to work for it, and then you got to play around with it. It's a lot of math involved. And make some cool looking designs, almost like an argyle look to it. Oops. Yeah, a scarf would be a good thing before you start making like a blanket or anything. Yeah, you're right. It has to have a certain number of stitches for the repeat and the color and well, so far I'm liking this yarn. Hooked on corner to corner. Yep, it could be fun. It's kind of a mindless stitch because it's very repetitive, unless you're doing um, picture art within it and you have to stop and change colors and mark and follow a grid and all. But if you're just doing rows back and forth, even if you're changing colors for each diagonal row, that that's kind of mindless. And oh, cool. No, you could brag. I mean, a few weeks ago you didn't know how to do corner to corner at all, and now it's something that you like and you seem to be happy with it. They're saying that this is a size 4 yarn. This is a very thin 4. I would consider this a 3. And no, you Can't have it when you're done. It's going to be similar to that jewel tone blanket that I have. You mean the quilt? Oh, okay. No, I don't want your corner to corner blanket. You think you're going to start a temperature blanket in a corner to corner after the blanket you're doing? Okay, cool. Yeah, try it out. I'm waiting for the blues and the purples to show up in this yarn. Wait, can you lay that flat? Oh, that's after 3 rows. And this is all the same color yarn. It's this yarn. I've heard of Parrot, of the colorway Parrot from Red Heart. But yeah, this is, again, what did I say? This is Red Heart's Unforgettable. This could be really cool in Mosaic. I might actually try it at some point. This is like super like soft and you have two skein. You have some of this, yeah. I like this. I like the color and I like the feel of it. It's how do I explain it? A little wool like, but it also has like some silk qualities to it, even though it's all cotton. I mean, not it's all acrylic, not cotton. Whoops. It is very smooth, yes, but in a good way. It's not like cotton smooth. That sometimes that could be a little rough. Not rough. It could be a little. I don't know what the word is. This is more supple. This is definitely more of a supple yarn. I want to get to this purple part of it. Well, I keep missing the stitch. Yeah, like I said, I got a dozen of these skeins, so I got plenty of this. But I wouldn't make a wearable for myself out of this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go on Ravelry and see if I can find a decent men's sweater or cardigan or something. When I get a little further, I'll be able to show you how much this drapes. This definitely has a nice drape to it. Still in the pinks. Goodness, it's got a long repeat. At least it's a different color pink. It's not all the same. I always count aloud. Again, anybody who's new that's joining, welcome. Welcome to Granny Week. I'm just working on a granny square, just using this really nice yarn. What bitch? Still haven't gotten to the purple yet. And I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on my 5th round. This yarn would actually make a good shawl. I mean, it's a little on the heavier weight, but it's not super heavy. If you do an open airy stitch, I can see that this would work. It's about as thick of a yarn that I would go to make a shawl. Ah, really? How how often is the color repeat of each color? Is it like a long repeat, or is it real quick? Uh, I mean, if you really didn't like it when you get to the yellow, you could technically cut it out and then join it up with the next color, depending if those colors would work together next to each other. Okay. I don't know if you all can hear it because I don't think the microphone's strong enough, but when I'm crocheting here and my work is moving on this paper, it makes a sound, and it sounds like the summertime. Oh, I'm getting to the purple. It sounds like in the summertime when it's a balmy summer night and you hear, are they crickets, are they frogs or whatever in the trees that chirp all night long? It's like off in the distance, like chirp, chirp, chirp. It's like this constant thing. I know you can't hear it because it's right here in the paper. It's hitting against the paper, and it's a little annoying. The things I do for my streams. Yeah, locusts, cicadas. Yeah, it's not as bad as the 13 or whatever the ones we had the other year. It's not that bad. It's the ones that happen every year, like June, July, especially around like sunset into the early into the evening. No, it was like that the other night when I was not drinking rum and I only had one glass tonight. Norfair has been very quiet tonight. I'm concerned because that's scary. I haven't had enough. Oh, yeah, that's what you said. You haven't had enough. Okay, yeah. My bottle went empty. Come on. Find the collectibles in this game. I've played this game at least 10 times, so I'm so frustrated. Keep at it. You'll get it. What game are you playing, even though I'm not going to have a clue? I'm going to join this here. I'm just going to show you how this drapes. Like, you could see, like, it's very, very drapey. Darksiders 2 Death Initiative Edition. New game on apocalyptic difficulty. Oh, okay. If you say so. I mean, I asked, but okay. I need the fan on. Definitely are in the purple now. I can actually probably go down a hook or two with this yarn. But I'm just seeing how the yarn works up and what the colors will look like in this pattern. I'm not making anything in particular. I lost the stitch again. So quiet in here. I know everyone's hands are busy. Problem with this yarn, I cannot cake it on the ball winder because it's so silky. It just falls apart, falls off, and does not stay in a cake form. That's the problem I have with it. So I'm working from this from an actual ball in my yarn bowl. Sent you a pic and need honest opinions about this yellow before I get too far. Okay, my light is hiding my tab. I like that. Okay, everybody's opinion on the yellow in this variegated yarn. Again, it's not her color choice, the um it's the repeat of the yarn. It has the yellow in it. I like the yellow in it. Especially the further up, like here, it's closer to the greens, but then it's against the blue. I like it. And then you got the green right next, the lighter green, like the lime green you're working on. It adds some contrast because everything else, there's a lot of like darker, like the berry colors and the purples, and some of the blues are darker. Yeah, it breaks it up so it's not all. But again, the larger rows, it's only going to be like thin like that. You're going to have um one row, like down in the corner. You got a lot of the purples and the berries, like the berry colors down here. You got more rows of it because they're shorter rows. So yeah, I like it. And I mean, it's parrot. Parrots have all those colors in them. Yeah, keep it. I know it's not in the cool temperature range of colors, but it's a good contrast. Oh, okay. Well, both colors work together. The polo and the parrot both work together great. And I really like those colors. I like those jewel tone. Yeah, I think I've seen that yarn before. I don't know if I've ever used it. You said it's Red Heart? I don't think I've ever used that specific colorway. Is it Red Heart Super Saver? Is it Red Heart Ombre? It's probably an ombre because the Super Savers are usually solids. Oh, and real quick, and again, you're not probably can't see it in person, but this yarn here, and back to the other week when I was talking about had leftovers you wanted to use. I think it's whatever. Don't have the wrapper. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So the other week when I was talking about yarn fibers and labels and all of that, okay, along the same line, so it's not going to see. One of the things that helps this yarn to be more silky and smooth like, it's not a heavily twisted yarn. There's not a really tight twist on it. It's more of a loose twist. And I'm not going to do too much, but I don't know if you can see. I'm actually untwisting the fibers, twisting the other way. So that helps create a more lofty, fluffier, soft yarn. It's how they spin it. I'm liking it. It's it's giving a very Caribbean. The colors are giving me very Caribbean, Miami vibes to it. Fruit punch is what I'm thinking, like Kool-Aid, not in the bad sense of that word. We just had Jamaican for dinner. Tell your mom. Well, along the same lines, last night went to see live production. Well, I went with Clay Miko and a friend of ours, and again, those who know me personally, our friend Mandy. Um, we went to see. It's called The Golden Girls. The Laughs Continue, and it was hilarious. Arm's getting a little tired. I'm gonna finish this round, which I just started it, and then when I finish the round, I'm gonna give you some tips and guidelines for tomorrow to be prepared. G-rated. It's a little explicit. They're not. I don't think they're gonna take that same script. Hey, Klimiko, are you back? Did you leave? I don't think they're gonna take that same script and recast and oh, it glitched. Okay, they're not gonna like actually like recast it and like use it as like a script for network TV. Oh, it glitched because my countdown, my timer restarted. Is everybody? Yeah, I think everybody is coming back. Yeah, it was definitely not. Wasn't even PG-13. Like it was very explicit, and but it was funny. There was humor that wasn't necessarily strictly Golden Girls based, but it was adjacent, and anyway, it was a good time. So if you are of the mind and don't aren't sensitive and don't get offended easily and are a fan of the Golden Girls and a fan of drag performers and they come to your town, go see Golden Girls, The Laughs Continue. Great. So the stream glitched, so now that means afterwards, after I end the stream, I got to do a little extra work to upload it to YouTube, but that's fine. Oh, also we ate a late lunch, early dinner at a British pub, British style pub, right around, literally around the corner from the theater, called the Elephant and Castle. I think they have some in other cities. They're usually like in a downtown area, and food was good. I got the fish and chips, and it was pretty good fish and chips. Generous portions. Yeah, I'm almost done this round, and then we will wind things down a bit, and then I will. Oh, okay. It was at the Warner Theater in downtown DC, like blocks away from the White House. Literally around the corner from Ford's Theater. Yep. I had been there, well, me and Clay Miko and another friend had been there many years ago to see the comedian Margaret Cho. So it wasn't a new theater for me. Oh, and we got a free seat upgrade. Have to tell you about that. Go in there. We're one of the first ones in because we were early. They let us in, and we had to stand around a little bit before we can be seated. And then when they were starting to seat us, the security guard motioned to us. They saw that we were some of the first there, and showing us to the seat. And she said that there's also some seats that were a little closer that weren't booked, and if we wanted, we could have them. So we went to our seats that we had reserved, and we tried to sit down. I couldn't fit in the seat because I couldn't fit. The theater was built in the 20s, so people were much smaller then. So we moved, and yeah, we actually moved another time. We just moved like one section slightly over. So we had decent seats, and yeah, the show was great. Okay, so that's how many rows we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 rows. I really like this. It's really soft. Okay. I have been streaming for a little over 2 hours. I think we're gonna start the wind down. And, oh, I gotta switch back. I'm gonna give you a heads up for tomorrow night's stream. So tomorrow night's stream, we're doing the granny chevrons, and we're doing kaleidoscope granny. I have my sample for granny chevrons done, but I don't have the entire sample for the kaleidoscope done yet. So if anybody wants to get a their supplies ready for tomorrow, and I gotta look this up real quick because I don't have my notes fully written out. Okay. You can do as many colors as you want. I suggest, if you're going to crochet along to these, for the granny chevron, do about 3. I've done 3 here. I know they're dark colors, but real quick, I'm going to put white underneath. They kind of pop a little bit more. Somewhat, not really. So this is just a sample. Chevron means zigzag. So if anybody has done a zigzag blanket before, it's based on that, but it's also based on granny squares. Get about 3 colors, 3 different colors, or if you want to do some matching colors, you get all the same tones or whatever, that's fine. If you have a pen and paper handy, I can give you the chain amount, and you can chain in advance till we get this far. It's not going to be an M. This is just a small section. I didn't want to do a full length project. So this is the basic repeat. So to do this, it's the stitch count will be a multiple of 35 plus 1 plus 12 for the foundation. So that's how many chains you would do. This one I did 35 chains, 1 extra chain, and then 12 chains. So this is the smallest repeat according to my patterns. So if you want to make it bigger, then you do multiples of 35. So however many times you want to do that, plus 1, and then plus 12 chains. So that would be what? What's 35 plus 13? So 35 and 10 is 45. 48? Math correct? 35. Yeah. 40. This is 48 chains. If you want to do this exact sample, again, if you're doing a project, you do it wider. That's fine. That's why I'm telling you now, if you want to crochet along tomorrow night, do your chains first before we stream. So that will get that part out. And actually, you could do the next part too. Okay. To do multiples of 35 plus 1 plus 12. Yes, for this, for this one here, do what I did. Do this exact same size as a sample. So 48 chains. Then what you're going to do is the second chain from the hook, you're going to do, and you don't have to worry about, you can write this down, but it's not anything real complicated. So you do 48 chains, second chain from the hook, do a single crochet, and then the rest of all the other chains, each do a single crochet. So you'll end up doing 47 single crochets. That will get you your foundation chain and your base row. And that's what I did here on the purple. I did our multiples for your chain, which again, this sample is 48, and then do a single crochet. Say it one more time. Okay. So we did 48 chains. After you do your 48 chains, the second chain from the hook, do a single crochet in that chain. And then, excuse me, then in every other chain, all the other chains, not every other, all the rest of the chains, each and every chain, do a single crochet. Just like if you were going to do just single crochets, like if you're going to do one whole piece that's all single crochet, don't do that. Just do that one row, but you have 48 chains. Does that make sense? And you would do that with your first color. Yes, yeah, skip this first chain, just like you normally would do when you do single crochet. It might be because this is, I'm doing 2 projects tomorrow. But actually, once you get the first granny row, so this first granny row, not the single crochet that I just told you to do. When you do the first, that's the difficult part. The rest of it is easy. So whatever color you decide to start, pick a color, and again, do 48 chains, and then do single crochet into each of those chains. Again, you always skip the first chain when you do single crochet, because that first chain you skipped is your turning chain. That's what you need to bring to class tomorrow. That's your homework. You could do 3 color repeat. If you want to do 2, I would recommend at least 2, maybe 3. I did 3. You can do as many color repeats as you want. Do at least 2. Technically, you could do this all in one color, but it looks better when there's multiple colors. So whatever you got lying around as a sample piece, don't use anything nice and fancy. Of course, these are just swatches and tutorials. Or shades, yes, or shades. Or if you want to do a solid and a variegated, do whatever you got. They don't have, again, they don't have to coordinate. These colors happen to coordinate somewhat, not exactly, but close. They could be totally bizarre, whatever you want to learn. At least 2. The more the better. I did 3. You could do 4. You could do however many you want. Okay? So that's for the granny chevron. For the kaleidoscope granny, okay, for the granny chevron, you're going to have, it could be a wearable, but teach their own. So, like I said, at least 2, maybe 3 colors. For the kaleidoscope granny, this is just the beginning of the kaleidoscope granny. I haven't done the rest of my sample. So for your kaleidoscope granny, all together, you can have as many colors as you want or as little colors as you want. Just to show, I am going to do 6 colors. If you don't have enough yarn, because I know Clay Miko doesn't have a whole lot of yarn. Or if she does or whatever, that's fine. But you could do 3 colors. But whatever you do this. This will be your base. This is a simple granny square. And you're going to do 2 rows in one color. Then change 2 rows in another color. And then change the color and do 2 more rows. So this is 6 rounds. Each color is 2 rows. If you don't have this done before stream tomorrow, don't worry about it. This will take some time to do. If this is something we have to do together on stream, that's fine. If you want to get a jump ahead, do a 6-round granny square. Every 2 rows, change colors. When I do the rest of this, when we build off of it, and you can't see what it's going to look like because I haven't got it to yet, I'm going to use 3 different other colors. You could use the same colors that you have here. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use 3 colors. I've seen it done at least 6 colors, maybe more. And it makes this really cool geometric kaleidoscope look to it. So, this is easy to understand. It's 6 rounds. Each round, every 2 rounds, you change colors. Basic, simple granny square. Back to this. Do 48 chains. And then single crochet into every chain. Again, you always skip the first chain because that's your turning chain. And that will be the start for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to start with this here, with the chevron. Then we're going to go to kaleidoscope. But this is actually pretty easy to do. There's only increases and then decreases, because where you have to go up the mountain and down the mountain, it's the increases and decreases, but that's not that difficult. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. Okay, so I think that's it for tonight. Let me check something here. Let me see. We're going to see something. I'm looking for... What's wrong, Cinderella? Why are you crying? Because the stream's ending? That is? Okay. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I think I'm going to raid somebody. And I'm going to give you a choice. There's 3 channels I think that are streaming right now, and I only know of one. I've been to one of them. The other 2, there's one she's working on, or they're working on some brightly colored hexagon thing. I think they're crocheting. There's another one, it says they're crocheting. Or we can go raid Mrs. Beekeeper, the spinner from the other day. She's knitting a sweater, a vest. The one who's doing something is, I can't pronounce it. Xilare, Xilarae. Then Man in Iron Teeth. Wait, Man in Iron Teeth? Wait. You want to... Okay. I gotta find... I'm scrolling through. Are they live right now? You're jumping ship? Okay, hold on. I gotta see if they're live right now. Yeah, I don't see anybody that's man and iron teeth. So, do you want to go to it's Xilarae. Okay, Night Miko. I can't pronounce her name. And then there's Enthogenic Monk. I think she's crocheting. What is? I don't know what she's doing. And then there's Mrs. Beekeeper. She's knitting a vest. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, I think we're gonna go to Mrs. Beekeeper because that's who I rated the other day. Okay, so again, everybody have a good evening, and again, everything's uploaded onto my YouTube channel afterwards, and I think we're gonna go raid, and happy crafting, and I will talk to you all tomorrow evening. Wait, wait a minute. Wait a minute.